Welcome to Lexagon Legal Briefing, a social project of Lexagon Practice. Our objective is to educate you on the law. However, this does not serve as legal advice. Consult a legal practitioner before you take any important decision. Thank you. Welcome to Lexagon Legal Briefing. We shall be discussing taxation. And with me on set today is Mr. Tunde Eson.
Thank you.
Mr. Eson, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Eson is a lawyer and a tax consultant. So, Mr. Eson, what is taxation and why do we pay tax?
Taxation is a levy by the government on the citizens for the purpose of generating money to run its activities, particularly to provide social utilities, infrastructure, and a better life for the people. That is taxation, and that is the reason for taxation by the government.
So what are the laws on taxation and who can impose tax?
There are various laws on taxation. You have such laws as the Personal Income Taxation Amendment Act. You have such laws as the Companies Income Tax Act. You have such laws as the Stamp Duties Act. You have such laws as the Value Added Tax. So many laws, really. And tax can be imposed by the three tiers of government: the federal government, state government, and the local government. Okay. Those are the people that can impose taxes on the citizens.
Okay, for the benefit of our audience, what taxes can the different tiers of government impose? Because there have been incidences or cases that have been reported of multiple taxation, different kinds of taxes being imposed by different sets of people, or the different tiers of government. You can please explain to us or let us know which taxes each of the tiers of government are allowed to collect by law.
Okay, let's start with the federal government, for instance. Now, when you're dealing with the federal government, the taxing authority for the federal government is known as FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service. Now, the taxes that they collect company's income tax. What is company's income tax? That is the tax that you impose on a company for doing business on its profit after a financial year. That is collected only by the federal government through the FIRS. Now, again, there's what's called education tax. This is imposed again on companies. It's just 2%. This can only be collected by the federal government. That's what is known as PPTA. That's Petroleum Profit Tax. Under the Petroleum Profit Tax Act, this can only be collected by the federal government. You have withholding taxes on companies. This can only be collected by the federal government. You have stamp duties on companies. This can only be collected by the federal government. So these are just examples down the line of taxes that can be collected by the federal government. If we move to now again, the interesting thing about the federal government is that for people living in Abuja, because normally when you pay your personal income tax, that is meant to be collected by the State Internal Revenue Service, not the federal government. But for the people living in Abuja, FCT, they pay their personal income tax to the federal government. For people working in our armed forces, military, navy, police, and all of that, they pay their taxes to the federal government. So it's not enough to say, okay, because it's his personal income tax, then it's the state that must collect it. No. There are some categories of people that still pay their personal income tax to the federal government. So if you come to the state, the collecting organ is known as the State Internal Revenue Service. They assess the tax, they impose the tax, they collect the tax on behalf of the states. And the primary tax that they collect is the personal income tax. That's the primary source of income. It could be through self-assessment or through the payee system. But again, it's not enough that somebody works in Lagos State and he has to pay his personal income tax to Lagos State. The rule is what is called the Residency Rule. The person who is paying the tax, where does he live? Does he live in Lagos State or does he live in Ogun State? For instance, if a guy lives at Mowe and all he does is just to come to work in Lagos, he goes back to Mowe at the end of the evening, the the government that has the right to collect tax from him, personal income tax from him, will not be the Lagos state government where he works, where he has the income, but the Ogun state government. Another tax that the state government can collect is taxes imposed on markets at the state capital, not in rural areas. So if a tax is imposed on a market at Ikeja, for instance, or in a place designated as urban area and not in rural area, then the state government can impose such taxes. The state government can collect withholding taxes from individuals. Those basically are the taxes that the state government can collect. But again, we'll get to the point where the state government, because they're not entitled to collect, what do you call it right now, VAT, value-added tax, they are beginning to collect what they call sales tax. But if we have time, we go into this distinction between sales tax and VAT, because they are both what we call consumption taxes. Now, if we move from the state government and we move down to the local government, if you come to the local government, they probably have like 16, 17 taxes that they're allowed to collect. Tenement rates, radio and television licenses, liquor licenses, naming of streets in rural areas, market taxes in rural areas, outdoor advertising rates, and down the line. Over 18 different taxes that the local government can collect. These are the various, like I said, these are the various bodies that that can collect and impose taxes: federal, state, and local government. So if another body imposes tax on you, that will not be tax. Somebody coming from nowhere and say you must pay this tax, and it does not fall into one of these collecting agencies for these tiers of government, that will not be tax. Okay,
let's talk about some taxes that we hear about more often.
Yes.
Like about the personal income tax, the company income tax, the value added tax. Can you explain to us who's to pay these taxes? How are the taxes paid? By what medium? How do you have to pay the taxes?
Okay, let's start with the company's income tax. There's a law known as CITA, that's Company's Income Tax Act. And what it says basically is that every company has a financial year, January to December, and or whatever. But it must be 12 months, which becomes their financial year. In that financial year, they must have done business. And the government is saying, if you've made profit in this financial year, I'm entitled to impose a tax known as company's income tax on your earning. So the government says, you know what, I'm entitled to 30% of your profit as tax. So the body that is entitled to impose taxes on companies is the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and this money goes to the federal government, not the state. So, for instance, a state cannot go to the branch of a particular bank, for instance, in its state, and say, okay, in this state, we're going to impose tax on you because you're in our state. No. That tax is to be paid by the headquarters, and once it's paid by the headquarters, it is taken as having been paid by the company. So it is relevant how many branches they have. So it's not enough for you to say, oh, UBA, for instance, as a branch in Ado-Ekiti, and because that's a branch in Ado-Ekiti, that the Ekiti state government is going to impose tax on it. No, that's not the way it goes. Company's income tax is payable to the federal government through the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Now, when you register a company, when you register a limited liability company, for instance, you register it with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Once you're done registering it, they give you your incorporation documents. Now, what does the law say after you have been given the incorporation documents, after you have registered the company? The law expects you to register for tax, payment of tax with the Federal Inland Revenue Service for the purpose of payment of company's income tax, of value-added tax, and of education tax within 6 months from the date of registration of the company. Now, if we go a bit legalistic, the companies will argue that no, it has to be within 6 months of commencement of business. But truly, it is within 6 months of your registration. You take these documents to the FRS, that's the Federal Inland Revenue Service, that serves your jurisdiction, and you say to them, I want to register for tax. Now, when you're doing that, you're registering for VAT, you're registering for payment of your company's income tax, you're registering by default for payment of education tax. You're doing these three things at the same time. And what the body does is to give you, once they're satisfied with you, that you're not late. Because if you come after 6 months, what will happen is that you have to pay a default for not registering on time. But if you come within the 6 months, they will give you a pre-incorporation tax clearance certificate. Now, once you've collected that, what do you now do? Which one now becomes immediate that you have to attend to all the time? That is the value added tax. Because what the law says is that every month you must file your returns. The law is not even asking you to come with the money. The law is saying even if you have not made any money, if you've not collected any VAT, value added tax, on behalf of the government, or you've not paid any, but please file your returns. Let me know your status concerning VAT on a monthly basis. And the implication is this: if you have to file for January, for instance, January 2017, for instance, you must file your VAT before the 21st of February. If not, you're in default, and you'll be made to pay 5,000 naira for being in default. It's got nothing to do with the amount you are meant to pay as VAT payable. For failing to file before the 21st of the next month, for January, you're already in default. Now that's 5,000 naira. You may think that it's not a lot of money. If you suffer the same default in the following month, it's now 10,000 naira. They begin to compound it. So it's not a question of, if I don't pay for 12 months, that's 60,000 naira, that's 5 times 12. That's not the way it works. It begins to take on compound interest. So what I'm saying, what we're saying today is, what is the difficulty in just programming yourself to say, listen, I'm going to file my returns before the 21st of the next month. Don't forget that VAT really is not, most of the time, you are acting as a collecting agent for the federal government.
Thank you, Mr. Edson. So what happens if tax is disputed? Is there any recourse for anybody who's disputing tax levied or even penalties?
The interesting thing is this: there's an assessment on you. If you don't do a self-assessment, the government will assess what tax they think that you should pay. Now, the way it goes is this: if you disagree with that assessment, what the government expects you to do is to pay what you think is your tax payable. So before you even raise the issue of dispute resolution, so government is saying your tax is 50,000 naira. You're saying no, by my own assessment, my tax is 10,000 naira. The government will say, you know what, go and pay the 10,000 naira first. Now, once you've paid the 10,000 naira, you now go to the tax office to say, I'm sorry, this is what I think I should pay. What the tax authority will do is to look at that, and if they agree with you, they will raise a tax assessment on the basis of what you have argued that you should pay. But if they disagree with that, they would give you a notice of denial to say, we deny it, go and pay the tax. And if you're still not satisfied, you have what is called the TAT, the Tax Appeal Tribunal. You go to the Tax Appeal Tribunal to say, I disagree with the taxing authority. If you are still dissatisfied with the decision of the Tax Appeal Tribunal, you go to the Federal High Court. If you disagree with the decision of the Federal High Court, you go to the Court of Appeal. If you disagree with the decision of the Court of Appeal, you go to the Supreme Court. If you disagree with the Supreme Court, you're your own. Really, there is nothing to do after that.
Thank you. On a final note, can you explain to us what is tax avoidance and tax evasion? We have heard these expressions often and would like to have clarity on those.
Now, to our viewers watching us, if you are going to play the tax avoidance rule, please get a tax expert to guide you. In trying to do tax avoidance, if what you've done now amounts to willful non-payment of tax, you are opening yourself up to criminal prosecution and jail term. So if you want to take advantage of what you think are the loopholes in the tax laws, please consult an expert who can guide you appropriately. If you do it by yourself and what you think is tax avoidance turns out to be tax evasion, then you just open yourself up to criminal prosecution and possible jail term.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Son. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
It's been a pleasure being here.
This is Lexagon Legal Briefing, and I am Emma Son.